How's it going? Mountain Man 365 here. Had a question on my side scroller camera settings video, how someone might add melee combat and pickups and things like that, something like a Smash Brothers. I may not be able to show you everything in a short video, but I can maybe tip you in the right direction. I just try to do everything pretty quick here with community content, and maybe you can look at the code and the setup and kind of get an idea of where you could go and what can be made just out of the box using Core. And then, of course, you can expand and go crazy if you can do some scripting and other things like that. So first, let me kind of walk you through what I have. I just have a very similar setup to what I did in the side scroller camera settings video. I have a couple spawn points. One thing that I did out of the gate here was I set up a spawn point. One is team 2, one is team 1. That way they can injure each other and hurt each other, because if you're shooting at someone on your same team, it won't usually kill them. I'm sure you can set up some friendly fire thing, but that's not how it usually comes out of the box from what I understand. I have my spawn points facing one another, and when they spawn out, they'll be facing, and then when you use right and left, they're going to follow that. They're going to turn. They're not following the mouse. They're following the direction of the control, just like before. And then what I did was, for the pickups, I just went into the community content section, looked up health. There's a few different health pickups. So now when someone's injured, they can walk over this health pickup. It'll increase their hit points, and then it will eventually show up and respawn that pickup over time. You'll see here I also added a health bar. And the way you can do that really easy is just come into core content here, type health bar, and then drag it up, and then that's going to just automatically put health right there so that you can easily access it and get an idea of what you want and need to do. What else? Then I also went into the community content area and I looked for melee options and stuff. So I found this one and imported it. It is called Melee Fighting Locomotion, and there's some jumping animations and things like that. You may or may not want those. I'm not sure. But I went ahead and grabbed these Melee Locomotion and just dropped it in. If you'll see, it's attached to like ability and triggers and things like that. Totally cool, but you'll note when I zoom in on here, you have a trigger area. So if you want them to trigger with this, you might want to set it up a different way, equip the ability on player join or something like this. Right now they have to walk through the trigger to pick up the fighting and punching abilities, which is fine. Or you could even make the spawn point in the trigger, then they're just going to show up in the game when they spawn and get that ability right away. One problem with this basic setup here is if player 1 walks through this trigger and the other one, it's going to, remove the trigger so that it's on that player. And we can kind of watch and see this happen when we load up the game. So that's basically how I have it set up. I have this wall behind it because and I put it so that it's collision, so they can't run through it. Let me make sure. Because what was happening there is the jump animation they have, it's like causing the player to move backwards and stuff. So like kind of like a dodge and dip thing. I'm sure you can take that off somewhere in the settings or in the code, but for speed, I'm just gonna show you what I have here. And so I have these just few things, the health packs, one on each side, the health bar right here. Then I've put in the melee locomotion trigger that's going to give them the ability to punch each other. I just put a little floor under each trigger so I know where they are. And then I put a background so you can see. So let's go ahead and run it. And one thing I like to do, it's running on my other screen. I'll pull those over in a sec. But before I do that, check it out. I'm going to hit over here, just kind of click on this top bar. I'm going to hit V to turn the gizmos on. So now I can see the triggers. And what's cool about that is, let me bring this over, is when I'm in this view and I hit that trigger, you're going to see what's happened. So I pick up the ability. Now this guy can punch, So there's the punching. Here's like this crazy jump they have. And then if I go up to this other player, I can knock him. Maybe I can even knock him in the trigger. So now this other player, let me grab him and bring the screen over. Oops. Okay, so you can see I've lost some health because I was punched and stuff. But if I go over here, go ahead and knock him a couple times. And let's say I want to move back over to this guy and see now the triggers are gone up there, but I want to fill this health. I have 80 out of 100 health. I'm going to walk over. Bam, now I got 130 health because that's a lot. And so I'm going to come back over here, do some more punching. And then let's say I want to go down here, and it still looks like there's something funky with the jump where they're not in the same plane. So you may want to, I picked up that health there. So you may want to do something so that they can't get out of the same plane, whether that's an invisible wall or just fixing that jump mechanic so that you just can't do that. So that's one thing I could do is pull the wall over. So check it out. I'm just gonna go ahead. It's hard to see here. I'm gonna go ahead and revert that so I can actually see what's going on. And then I'm just gonna take this cube and do visibility force off, collision on. And now when I load that up, again, I'm going to turn on the gizmos because it's just kind of fun to see that. So now when I load it up, they shouldn't be... Oh, what did I do? So that did something really, really funky to the camera. Maybe I moved the camera inadvertently. Let me go check it out. Just load it without that and see if I just messed up something with the camera. Need to go further. If there is, I'm going to show you a different trick. Okay, so it seems fine now. So anyways, that's just a side problem. So now I should have punching. Yeah, I got punching. And that's it. And that's all there is. Kind of do some like really basic stuff. Now, there might be some better items in core content. This one's pretty cool out of the gate. It has some cool animations and flipping around and all that. So it just really depends on how you want to tackle the problem. But that's some of the ways you could do it. And then you're just going to want to build level items either behind it. If you have platforms, if they're moving, whatever, just make sure they're all on the same planes. There might be... You got to think about, let's see, if community content was kind of doing some funky things to me earlier. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, there we go. So like, let's say we wanted to, use the spell shock weapons. Let's just, actually, I don't know if that works. So we'll put in this quick weapon switcher from Buck Monster, which is really cool. Or not. Are you sure it is? Oh, it looks like there's a server error. Anyways, what I was going to say is if you dropped like any weapon in, a gun or whatever, maybe you'd have the same idea here, right? You could pick up the weapon, it would shoot left and right. So anything you can create in 3D, if you have a punching system or you find a punching system in the community content that's 3D, well, it'll work in a 2D setting. So, or if you find a tutorial that's using like a staff or sword swings or something like that, it's all going to work in a 2D setting. It's just moving the camera around. So any tutorial that's going to teach that will do you well as well. So maybe look at the NPC stuff and check core content. Hopefully this is helpful in some way. I know it's not a full explanation, just a quick explanation, but enjoy core, enjoy creating. Looking forward to what you put together. Have a great day.